Hello and welcome everyone to Beneath the Current, a CSU podcast initiative at SLC Cornwall. I'm Nandish Thakkar, Vice President of Communications. In the back end, we have everyone's favorite Vice President of Student Life, Shannon. And let me introduce our guest, the International Student Advisor.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. My name is Francine Desnoyers, and I'm the International Student Advisor in the Cornwall campus here at SLC. I've been in the role for a little over 5.5 years now. Just really, it's just love helping our international students, helping them get ready to come to Canada, helping them when they get here. So it's a great position, something that I've really been enjoying.
So, what are some of the things that you help international students with? And are your duties limited to only international students, or do you help domestic students as well?
So really, I'm here for the international students. I don't really deal with the domestic students very much. But sort of higher level, I guess, helping our international students prepare to come to Canada. So that whole piece of, not only just generally about like, oh, what do I pack? Or, what sort of things do I need to research before I come here? But also the immigration side of things, which is a really big piece of what we do. So, looking at immigration wise, what they need to prepare, but also when they get here, if they need any advice with immigration, we do that. So it's a lot of settlement,
Right.
Helping international students settle in Canada. And also, when they're here, sometimes they just, we're sort of like a point person too. So it's like, we're here as your support, even though I can't do everything and help with everything, but I can at
Guide
least
them in the
point
right
them
way. Yeah.
exactly to who does, this. So if you're having this problem, you need to see this person kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what do you do for pre-arrival, if as an international student who has no idea what even Canada is, right? But they see their friends online, they see other people going to different countries, they feel like they want to go as well, but they get stuck in a loop, they get in scams with agents. So what
Yes.
advice would you give to students who are trying to study internationally?
So what I would say, number one, is even though a lot of them are dealing with agents,
Right.
I really recommend that they get in touch with the college directly because there's information sometimes that not all agents are like that. Not all agents are trying to scam them, but there are a few out there, unfortunately. So what we usually say is, contact us if you have any questions, like get in
Right.
touch with us,
Yeah.
right? So we can tell you, yes, that's correct, or no, it's not. So what we've been doing is we do virtual pre-departure sessions. So
Okay.
we send, the information out to our students all around the world. Here's what we're going to be doing. So we touch on things like, like I said, even just what to pack or, what documents they need. What's it going to be like when they go through the immigration counter? Just, generally what we do, what to expect when they come to Canada,
Right,
that
right,
kind of
right.
thing. And that's the best thing because that's where they're going to find a lot of information. We have also been, when we can, going to India in person as well because
Wow, okay.
like a large majority of our students are from India. So we go to 3 different cities in India and do these pre-departure sessions in person.
Oh, okay. So is
Yeah.
it the same content that you do online? Is it similar to that?
Yeah, very similar. We go into a bit more detail because we have a bit more time,
Right.
and what we love about the in person as well is just the students themselves get to meet each other,
Yeah.
which is nice because
It's a nice little mixer for students.
yes, and be like, hey, I'm going to be traveling on this day. Oh, me too. Let's meet at the airport, or that kind of thing, which is
That,
really really
yeah.
nice.
I did not know about pre-departure sessions happening in India itself because that would have been great for me because I would have made friends. I would have already known people coming here. Yeah, that is awesome. Yeah.
I know we had to put a pause for a while because of COVID and all of
COVID,
that.
yeah.
But we started that back up. Was it in November last year, I think? Yeah. So for almost a year, we've been going, like usually about 6 weeks before, or maybe even 2 months before the students will arrive. Like
Right.
we go there and we do that. So it's really great because like I said, we're talking about all this stuff, and even though, and it was funny because when you were
Yeah.
talking about, oh, they see all this stuff, on social media and they want to be there, which is great, but also, as we all know,
Not the whole truth.
yes,
Yes.
everyone makes it look amazing and look what I'm doing,
Yeah.
right? And it
Yeah.
looks glamorous and all this stuff, when in the reality,
It's a lot of struggle.
it's hard.
It's hard. It's very hard. I wouldn't be lying. It does get easier with time,
Yeah.
but it's not as easy as it looks on social media. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And it's everyone's going to struggle at first.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had one of my students tell me that even themselves, like they're mopping floors, working at a restaurant, but then they're posting photos of themselves with this and that,
Yeah.
and they're like, I don't want to tell people I'm mopping floors because I want it to look like I've really got somewhere, which is
Exactly.
and yes, like I understand
enough,
that,
yeah.
but there's also a lot that I wish students were a bit more prepared for when they got here. So they know, like, yes, it will be okay eventually, but at first it is tough. I
It
mean,
is.
you must have found that, right?
I had a lot. I had a lot of issues learning, the culture, the rules, the rights that I have as a student here, which can be overwhelming and scary, especially if students have just graduated high school. They're 18, 19-year old. They have no idea how the world works, and they're in a new country with new people, with new culture. It's scary. It's really scary. But the way SLC has been helping students with pre-departure arrivals, and I'm pretty sure they have like a session after they've come here, besides
Yes.
orientation.
Yes.
Am I? Yeah.
Yeah, so we also do our international welcome session. So
Right.
we actually have one coming up on Friday.
Wow, okay.
For the new group, but we do that as well. So we, once they get here, just before they begin classes, we talk to them. Just things like, okay, your health insurance. What is it? What does it cover? We talk more in detail about Canadian culture, because no matter what, no matter where you're from, even if you're from somewhere where, English is your first language, every country is different. Every
Yes.
country has their own culture, things that they do that, to someone coming from the outside might think, oh, that's a bit strange. Why
Yeah,
do they do
yeah.
that? And so we try to also, talk a little bit more about Canadian culture, what to expect. We actually get someone from our local police to come in and talk about safety in Canada too, because no, they're not going to come here understanding our rules and regulations, what their rights are. So, we
Exactly,
have the police
exactly.
come in and talk to them. Plus, sadly, some countries, police are corrupt and you can't always trust them. So we also want them to know that here in Canada,
Yes. Yes.
it's not like that.
Culturally, a lot of people are scared from their police because they see them as people who will hurt them if they commit a crime or make a mistake. So
Yeah.
I get it. That was honestly my first impression as well when I came here. But because I've heard that it's not the same here, I was kind of okay with it. There's still something, in the back of my mind that I don't want to fuck up, that happens. That happens with students, especially if they're really young and they have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why we wanted
Yeah.
to bring the police in early on so they can see, okay, you know what? These guys, you're okay. You can
Yeah.
trust these
Yeah.
guys. I mean, yeah, there's always going to be, the odd, not so good person out there, but on the most part, yes, you can, trust them. So, so we do that as well. And then, of course, I'm available to
Yeah.
help. So sometimes students will come to me and say, like, look, this happened to me. Is this normal in Canada? Because this seemed odd to me. And then I
Yeah.
can tell them, yeah, that's how we do it here. Or no, that's not. So you should, be careful of that.
Okay.
Because you were talking as well about scams, and definitely there are scams. And we talk about that as well, just to avoid it. But I think, kind of going back to what we were saying about students preparing before they come here, I think the biggest thing is do your own research.
Yes.
It's such a huge thing,
I
because often I get students and they arrive and they're like, I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about the city. I didn't know anything about like the program I'm taking. My agent did everything for me.
Yes.
But then they come here so unprepared. And I think those are the ones that end up with the biggest culture shock, the biggest And sometimes the biggest challenge is because they weren't
Prepared.
prepared. So
Yes.
that's a huge thing, is just do your own research. Research, the city you're going to, research the college, the program, all of these things so that you kind of know
Yeah.
what you're getting into,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the other thing is, all of you, um, I talk to your parents, learn how to cook at least a few dishes
Okay.
before you leave. Just some of these things which, you
That
probably don't
is
even think
so
twice
true.
about,
That is
but,
so true. If you don't
you
know
know,
how to cook, it's gonna be so difficult here. Yeah.
exactly.
And the other thing is a lot of people they are vegetarians, right? It can be really really difficult for them to survive here if they do not know how to cook. You cannot survive
Exactly.
on DoorDash and Uber Eats all the time.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Talk about, waste of money. But yeah,
Yeah.
definitely you need to learn how to cook like
Yeah.
at least a good couple of dishes. That's a big thing. And learn how to do some laundry, cleaning.
Cleaning. That's a great point. That's something I really want to talk about. That's regarding housing as well. I've talked to a lot of landlords personally, and a lot of their gripe with students is they do not maintain the house. A lot of international students, which I kind of get why students don't, because again, they have to work a lot because tuition is expensive for international students. They have a lot of classes that they cannot miss. They have a lot of assignment works that they cannot miss because if they fail, they have to retake, they have to pay a lot of tuition again. So I kind of get it, but again, students coming here being a part of the community, they have to take care of it. They have to be an active part of the community, maintain it properly, and again, everyone coming from their respective countries are representing their countries. We want to, we want to send out a good message that people coming in from different countries are not here to, take away your jobs or, make your country a mess. No, we're just here to make our lives better. And that's something that we want to educate students on, being a part of community. Is there something that you would like to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think, there's two parts of it. The first part, just talking about where you're living.
Yes.
And we see it with Canadian students too, where they're not used to cooking and cleaning
Yes.
and but it's important just to have like a schedule to work with your roommates and figure this out. And it doesn't mean you have to be scrubbing everything all the time,
No,
but
of course not. Of course not.
but just keeping up with your day-to-day stuff. And it's just little things, and we're all busy, right? Like
Yeah.
me as a mother, and I work full time, I'm a mom, and my kids have different things, but I still keep my house clean, right?
Yes.
Even if I hate cleaning, trust me, I hate
Yeah.
it. But it needs to be done, and I
It
don't want to
does.
live
It
in
does.
filth, right? So but I think it's just taking that personal pride too. And just again, like working with your roommates, having a schedule. I remember doing that when I was
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
age, going away to university, and everyone had their list. Okay, you do this week, and I do this, and just following with that, and having
Yeah.
yeah, just kind of like understanding that, yes, maybe where you were, your parents did it for you and whatever, but this is a new life. This is
You
where
have to
you want.
take the responsibility.
Exactly. Responsibility. You want to be independent. You need to be independent. So here's what you need to
Yeah.
do. And
Yeah.
it's just the reality of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing is keeping the house clean, keeping it hygiene, not only helps your physical health, but also boosts your mental health.
Oh, it does. I know for myself, and I've said this to a lot of my students, believe it or not, first thing you do, you wake up, you make your bed.
Make your bed.
Make your
Yes.
bed. It doesn't seem like much, but it actually makes a huge difference. And
It
I
does.
never used to when I was
Yeah.
younger. I started doing it. And then when you come home after school or work, you have a nice bed that's
Exactly.
made you feel good. You're like, oh, I'm coming into a nice clean place. It does help your
It
mental
does.
health.
It does. Yeah.
If you walk into chaos every day, then your mind is like chaos, because
Exactly.
like you're just, oh gosh, I have that, and I
It all
find that
piles up.
it does. So it's so much better just to kind of just maintain all these things. And the other thing that you mentioned as well about getting involved with your community.
Yes.
Now it's even, talking about mental health, when I was talking about culture shock, which a lot of students do feel at some point, to different degrees, but one of the best things you can do is getting out there and getting involved in the community, making those connections. It helps with so many things. Your mental health, it helps, make friendships. You learn more about the culture. So then you start to understand things more. So it doesn't become so frustrating because you kind of get it. Plus, like you're taking part in what's going on in your community. You're giving, they're giving back. And, you make connections. So, if you're looking for a job after you graduate,
absolutely. Yeah.
and,
It,
you've been helping out and people know you and they're going to be like, yeah, this person's great. I'm going to give him a
great
job.
for networking. Yeah. No, I agree.
So it's huge. And the other piece that I forgot to mention before, but I'm just going to quickly mention is that another way to prepare as well, because we were talking about housing, is that there is a housing shortage in a lot of places in Canada. And the biggest thing that people need to do is at least prepare and have short-term accommodation before they get here.
I agree.
You can't come to Canada and not have a plan. You need to have something at least temporarily. But yeah, overall, I think just, take care of where you're staying, work together with your roommates, figure things out, get out there, not just in the community wide, like of Cornwall or wherever you are, but also the college community too, right? And get involved and, volunteer for different things. Like it's a really great way to meet people, to feel more connected. And then it does help with, avoiding culture shock, homesickness, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. On that topic, do you know any ways students can, be a part of SLC community? What are other ways? We know volunteering is one way. Are there any other ways students can be a part of the SLC community?
Yeah, I mean, definitely there are student jobs. Well,
Wow.
right? So, I mean, that's a great way too. And just generally just, getting to know other students and faculty, and anytime, go to class. Go to class. That's a big one. Because, you're here to study, and, the best way to be successful and to be involved is to be there, physically being there in class, and, take part in class. So, there are professors asking questions. Answer them. Put your hand up once in a while, and then the more you do that,
participate with your friends, with your classmates.
Yes.
In class activities. Yeah. And read your emails, please. Yes.
and now that you see the other side, yes.
I have. I know. I swear I will not miss an email ever again. Well, yeah, housing crisis is going on. We all know, but something that's happening in the background is jobs. It's really hard to find jobs for students as well, which, a lot of students would fall into trap of doing under the table jobs where they get exploited. It comes back to a lot of students not knowing what's going on.
Yeah. I've definitely heard of that. And so there are two things there too, right? So number one, doing what we call under the table jobs, or cash jobs, what some students call it. Yes, you can be exploited. So you're not going to be paid as much as you should be. And usually, like, employers that will do that are not following other rules as well, right?
Yes.
So there's that part of it, but also you're here as an international student. And it is actually legal to do cash jobs.
Okay. Okay.
If ever, you were to be found out, there could be really severe consequences. So that's why don't do it. Don't do it. And I know students have, and I've talked to them about it. I know it still goes on, but it really is not worth taking the risk.
Yeah.
But also, like I said, you're not being paid what you should. I know some students said that whoever they were working for were paying them like $9 an hour, $10 an hour.
Very less.
And, that you don't have the security of, like almost having a contract type of thing, or I don't know. I just think that it's too risky.
It's half the pay, double the work, and no security.
Exactly. And it's not a good
It's
and
not
immigration
worth it.
wise, bad, very bad. So yeah, not to do that. And as far as finding work, I know at first it can be a bit daunting because you're first getting to Canada, trying to figure out all these other things. Like first, you've got to get here, you got to get your SIN number, you got to open your bank account, and all the those
Yeah, you have
logistics.
to do the whole process. You can't expect to just start working the day you arrive in Canada.
Yes, and we do get that saying, "Oh,
Yeah.
I've been here. I've been looking for 2 weeks, and I haven't found a job." But even Canadians, it
It
doesn't
takes
take
time,
them
yeah.
2 weeks. It'll take them more than that to find a job. So there's being realistic too, right?
Yes.
And we have our career services team that are here to support students. One thing I do tell them as well is talk to career services, because look at your resume. Maybe your resume works from where you're from, but it may not work here because every country's different and
Yes.
what they want to know, what information needs to be on there. So career services can help them with that. So sometimes like one of the roadblocks can be their resume. Maybe
Right.
it's not up to where it should
Yeah.
be, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes it's that, but also having those realistic expectations, knowing that, like you said, you're not going to get off a plane and have a job.
Exactly.
That's not how it works.
Yeah.
Plus, as an international student, you can't technically start working until you begin your classes anyway. So,
Wow. Okay. I did not know that.
Yeah.
I was under the assumption that you can start working as soon as you have your SIN number.
no.
Ooh, okay.
No, so you have to wait until you begin classes. So even if you arrive 2 months earlier, you get your SIN or whatever, you're not supposed to work until you begin classes.
Okay.
Because you're not technically a student
That is
until you
really
start
good
your classes.
information. Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
because
this is why it's important to talk to your international student advisors.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, because I've seen like a lot of students who would be, eager to come early in Canada just so they can start working. But yeah, I did not know that.
yeah, but they actually can't do that.
Hmm.
But I think, yeah, generally like stay away from cash jobs, be realistic, contact career services. They can help. They won't necessarily be able to say, here's a job, but they'll be able to work with you on your resume. They can also do like mock interviews. So you get
Ooh,
used
okay.
to like what an interview would be like
Helps
in
with your
Canada.
confidence. Yeah.
And another big thing that I'd like to point out too for a lot of students is obviously everyone had to take an IELTS or an English test to be able to study here. So you have a certain level of English. Everyone's different. Some are very self-conscious about it and shy, and others are not. And there are different levels. But overall, now that you're here in Canada, you really need to speak English
You have to open up.
on a regular basis, because I see sometimes students like are a little shy about it, so they'll only speak their language with their friends, but you're not going to improve your English skills. And when you're looking for a job
Yeah.
and you have to go for an interview, how are you going to do that if
it's
you
a roadblock for you?
Exactly. So the more that you practice, the more that you speak English with your, other people that you meet, your professors, staff, just generally people around the community, the stronger you're going to be, the more confident you're going to feel.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then that will open up more doors for you.
It does. It opens up a lot of doors. I know. You have to, not only talk to people in your community, but people from other communities as well. Because you have to learn other cultures. You have to, be a part of other people's communities. And that helps a lot. That helps it's just not the English. English is a big part because that is the first language in this country and you have to learn it. But just communicating in English with people from other communities not only helps you learning English better, but it also, educates you on other cultures and communities that are present in our SLC family.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I know, well, I'm sure you've kind of experienced it all, but your English is very good. And I know that you're out there. You're, always making the effort and everything, and things will eventually, turn out well.
Yeah, it does. Even I won't lie. When I came here the first time, my English was really bad, and it's not because I didn't learn English back home. It's just I was self-conscious, which is the case for 99% of the students, right?
Yes.
The thing is, you just go out, you just try. Nobody's
Yes.
gonna shame you for not speaking English properly. Everyone makes grammatical errors. Everyone fumbles here and there. That's completely normal. You have to be okay with it.
Yep. And I make errors.
Everyone
English is my
does.
first language, and I catch
Yeah.
myself
Yeah.
often. Oh God, that was really stupid. Why did I say that? But yeah, and especially, and I've seen them even come into my office, and I'm the international student advisor, and then they want their friend to speak for them, and I'm thinking, but I am the last person who's going to judge you because that's what I do. I'm here to support
Yes.
international
Yes.
students. I'm speaking with them all the time, varying levels of English, and on the most part, most people are very patient, and they'll wait until you figured out what words you want to use,
Yeah.
or maybe we'll kind of try and help you out by helping you with a
Yes.
word here and
Yes.
there. But the only way to get past that is to like push through the awkwardness.
Yeah. Get out of
And
your comfort zone and just do it.
yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
And I think that's the thing with everything, really.
It is. Yeah.
When you come to another country, it's a huge, huge change. And I think sometimes people don't realize how big it is. And not that I want to scare people,
No.
because it does work out eventually. But like we were saying at the beginning, it is tough. And I think, just going in there knowing that, okay, you know what, there are going to be some struggles, but there are lots of people to help.
Exactly.
There are loads of
Yeah.
people.
You're not alone here.
Exactly. They're really not. So, coming to either see myself if they have questions, and we have our student success facilitators to help with their academics. We have like counselors and all of that, so if people are struggling, our academic supports, like there's so many different supports, which are all free, by the way.
Yes.
So
Yes.
don't worry about paying extra money, it's all free. But there are so many supports here because we want to be able to help these students to feel more connected, to feel like this is their second home kind of thing.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So just to reach out. Don't be
yeah.
afraid to reach out.
Which a lot of students would need, because a lot of countries, they are very taboo about mental health, which a lot of students coming from different countries have no idea about. And even though they are struggling with their mental health, they have no idea what's wrong with them, which is an interesting topic, because I've seen a lot of students, they are sad, they're depressed, they're missing their families. They have no idea where to go, So I'm really glad that our college is helping students in every possible way. The only thing is, a lot of students may or may not know about these services,
Yeah.
A lot of them would feel embarrassed about going to a counselor, talking about their problems. Yeah, mental health is a huge deal. You have to take care of it, and you have to, again, as we said, with everything, you have to just do it. If you're embarrassed about going to see a counselor, just go. They're not going to kill you. Everyone's here to help you. And yeah, that's something that I wish every student, we can educate every student, but again, we cannot force all the students, right? You do it at your own pace.
Yeah, exactly. And we try to tell everybody. I mean, we, in our pre-departure sessions, we mention some of this. At our welcome sessions, we do also talk about, health and wellness and all of that. So we try to put the word out. Not everyone is able to attend all the sessions, so they may miss out on some of this, which is why, if anybody isn't sure where to go or who to see, come and see us in student services. We'll point you to the right person. And if you don't feel comfortable with anyone there, I mean, as the international student advisor, that's why I'm here, right? It's to support them. So, and that's why I get a lot of students that are like, I don't know who to see. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. And so I will sit with them, try and figure out, okay, well, here's what I think. And here are the people that I think you should talk to. So if at all they're just not sure, at least come to the international student advisor so we can try and point them to the right direction. But I think wellness is a huge thing. And I do know that in some countries it's a little more taboo.
It is.
And so people find it hard. They're like, oh, I don't want to admit that maybe they're struggling. And if they are, they don't know what to do. And taking that first step is tough.
It is.
It's really tough to take that step to reach out for help, because that's the first one. And once you do that, usually you'll get that help and you'll feel better. The hard part is getting up there and asking for it. And that's what we want people to be able to to understand, that there are supports. All you got to do is just ask. And once you ask, we're going to, go out of our way to try and figure out how to help you. And it's so important because students not only, are, especially with international students, you're here, you're in another country, you're away from your family, everything
Yeah.
That's hard until you build another life
Like,
here.
yes.
It's going to be hard at first. But also because of that stigma about mental health, that, is another kind of like challenge there for
it's
them.
hard for them to reach out.
I know. And I think, just to understand that there's no judgment, right?
Yes.
I don't tell anybody who I've spoken to
It's
what I've told them.
completely confidential.
It is totally confidential. And if they don't feel comfortable, I've had students who don't feel comfortable with seeing a counselor, but because I'm not a counselor, they'll talk to me, right?
Okay.
And I'm happy to hear it. But I'm not trained counselor. So if they really do need the support, they need to. But sometimes it's just, having someone to hear, like to listen to them,
Exactly.
listen to, some of the struggles they have, which, I've done in the past. But, comes a point where depending on what they need, I do need to refer them to someone in counseling.
Yeah.
But there are, lots of options, like whether it's, our counselor at St. Lawrence College, or we have Keep Me Safe, which is great because it's through their Guard Me insurance.
All right.
And basically they will try to hook you up with a counselor in your language.
Oh,
if
okay.
possible. Yeah.
Okay. Is that Keep Me Safe?
It's called Keep Me Safe.
Yes.
Yeah. And you're basically, international students are covered through their insurance that they've paid.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, and that's great because again, you're not going through someone from the college. Nobody has to know.
Yes.
It's an app. You just go on the app, you say, I need to talk to somebody. They'll try and find someone in your language if possible, and set you up with someone to talk to.
That is
right?
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there are lots of things, and it's just we need people to kind of just, feel like they can reach out and ask for the help.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. We have some questions from our students here. I'll pull them out.
Okay.
Question from Kushi. She's asking why there is a huge difference between international students' fees and domestic students' fees.
Okay. Well, I don't work in our finance department, so I will do my best to answer this question. But basically, the government gives colleges, universities a certain amount of money per student, per domestic student. Okay. So the fees that the international students pay are like the general fees that even a domestic student would have to pay. But because we get money from the government, it subsidizes what the domestic students have to pay. So, but international students are not eligible for that because they're not a citizen or a permanent resident.
Makes sense.
So that's basically what the difference is. Okay. So it's because we get money from the government. So we're, a part sort of like part public, part private. It's kind of a strange sort of thing. But so we do, because of that money from the government, that goes towards the domestic student fees.
Right.
But international students they're not eligible for that. So that is the difference.
So basically we're funding ourselves. Is that technically what it means?
Yes. So you as an international student pay for everything yourself, whereas a domestic student will have some money come from the government, and then the rest is what they pay.
Oh, okay. That makes it up. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why.
And here's a question from Atik. He's asking, I have 5 passports. How do I scan and compress them to upload for my PGWP?
Okay. So he's got 5 passports?
Yes. That's a lot of passports.
I'm not sure how, because normally you can't have more than 2 or possibly 3. So I'm not sure about that one. But for any of the immigration applications, there's only one option to upload. So you have to combine everything into one PDF. So what they would have to do is scan everything to PDF and combine it all together into one big document and upload it that way.
That sounds easy enough.
Yep. That's it. No more questions?
I think we're done. Is there any advice that you would want to give out to students that we haven't talked about so far? Is there anything that
I think, I made a few notes just trying to remember, but I think I kind of talked about it before. But the biggest thing is, just do your own research before you leave. Be prepared. Know that things will be tough, but it's not always going to be that way. To reach out for help, make those connections, find some friends here, get involved so that you can meet more people. The more that you do that, the more connected you feel,
Yes.
the less you're going to struggle, basically.
It feels more like home.
Yes, because you have to make it your second home, right?
Exactly.
And so once you do and you start to make those connections and feel comfortable, then you'll find yourself not feeling quite so homesick all the time or sad, because you'll have your own little sort of family here. And that's the best way to do it. And I think just, try to just be responsible.
Right.
Make sure, especially immigration wise, keep track of the expiry dates of your documents. Make sure you don't let anything expire. Contact your international student advisor for immigration stuff. And just generally, don't be afraid to ask for help. Just come and reach out, talk to us. We'll help you out.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, Francine. Would you like to give a shout out to anyone?
Just to all my students.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us on the second episode of Beneath the Current.